Welcome back to today's episode of Unapologetic Living. I am super excited to have Melanie Rudolph. Melanie Rudolph is she's a Melanie of many trades. I met her years ago, and I'm not exactly sure where, but when I had a kettle corn stand at the Whole Foods Farmers Market, I remember her distinctly coming up to say hello, and just thought her smile was incredibly inviting, and she was just um, exuded happiness and joy. And uh, anyway, I somehow learned that she actually was teaching laughter yoga. So,
Mhm.
welcome,
Yay!
Melanie. Thank you for coming on the show today.
Oh, I'm excited. As a matter of fact, this is my first podcast I've ever been on.
Oh, well, good.
So
I'm
that's
excited to have
exciting.
you. I love that. Well, this is the first podcast. I mean, I started my podcast this year, and it's been such a joy so far because I learned so much from all of my guests, and I'm hoping my audience is also learning from my guests. And I'm excited to have you.
Yay! I'm excited to be here also.
So I know you mentioned couch surfing, laughter yoga, global postcard clubs, and just sort of an in-depth study of yourself over the last 15, 20 years, maybe even longer. And you maybe you wouldn't necessarily um, say that you were necessarily in-depth studying yourself prior, but what sort of brought you to uh, maybe just the way you live life and your laughter yoga and just your lifestyle, because it's really cool, very
Mhm.
different and unique. Couch surfing. We can talk about that. What exactly that is, but how I met you was because you mentioned laughter yoga, and maybe you were hosting some events, and maybe you were passing out information about it at that farmers market, and that's how. But whatever it was just I never heard of it.
Yeah, that's a good question. Like, who am I and how did I get here and where am I going? It's questions I still ask myself. So, but as I said, I'm excited to be part of your podcast today. And a little about myself, specifically, yes, how did I get to where I am? In general, let's see. So I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri. So since we are recording in Louisville, I have been in Louisville and even though I've been here a while, I don't pronounce it correct. Some people have corrected me. Louisville, Louisville, Louisville. So please forgive me how I pronounce it. And so I've been here in January of 2025 for 20 years. So in 2025, this upcoming January is my 20th anniversary living in Louisville. So, and how I got to even be here is 19 years ago, after I graduated in high school in St. Louis, Missouri, I worked my way up to Cape Girardeau, Missouri, and I went to Southeast Missouri State University for my undergraduate degree. And then after that, I ended up going to Ball State University in Muncie, Indiana. And my degrees were in health and wellness related areas. So my undergraduate, I have a bachelor's degree in health management, and I have a master's degree from Ball State in wellness management. So after I got my degree in Muncie, Indiana, I ended up getting actually into the pharmaceutical world. So believe it or not, I worked for 8 years in the pharmaceutical industry. So it was 3 years in Muncie, Indiana. And then I happened to meet a guy in Louisville, and there was an opportunity to transfer with my job. And I did. So I transferred with my job, which was actually in big pharma. Um, and then moved to Louisville. So basically I moved for a job and a guy. Well, with my background being in health and wellness, having a master's degree in wellness, I always had that in the back of my mind. But I worked for 5 years when I first moved to town in that industry. And then I had gone through some layoffs. And I did survive the layoffs, but the more I was doing introspection and also I watched a lot of Oprah Winfrey shows way back when, which is actually how I got into laughter yoga, which I can mention more about that a little later. But after going through these like layoffs with my company, long story short, I left that industry, and then before you know it, the opportunity to get into laughter yoga appeared. So it was almost probably like a godsend in one regard. So then I started getting into laughter yoga, which then connected me to a lot of holistic spiritual wellness, creatives. And then fast forward along the way, it opened the doors to a lot of other communities and people. And it's been a dance because I haven't had a linear path. And even till now, even till this day, some things work and some things don't work. So it's a continual dance and evolution of my life journey. But I'm grateful. So I started in the pharmaceutical realm and then returned back to the wellness avenue, and one avenue with that being being a yoga teacher, specifically the laughter yoga teacher.
Oh, that's fun. Okay, and what exactly is laughter yoga?
Good question. A lot of people ask me that. So laughter yoga, so just to kind of reverse to how I mentioned, I saw it on the Oprah Winfrey show. So I saw it on the Oprah Winfrey show in 2007 when she still had her online TV show. And I was also like, what is laughter yoga? And but at the time, and you can actually still Google search it, Oprah Winfrey laughter yoga show. She did not do it, but either her hairstylist or her makeup artist experienced laughter yoga and she shared it on her show. So and then I was also like, what is laughter yoga? And I didn't know at the time. So laughter yoga, and at the time after I saw it on Oprah in 2007, in 2008 in January, I had flown to Dallas, Texas, and did a basic training of what is laughter yoga. So laughter yoga, it's this idea. So yoga in general, and especially you being a yoga teacher, know even much more than I do. But with yoga, there's one philosophy that there's 8 limbs of yoga. So different elements or areas that make up what yoga is. So in the most standard that you see in a lot of the yoga studios is people practice asanas, which is doing the physical poses, most of them on the ground with the yoga mat. Well, another area of yoga is actually the pranayama breath work. So in laughter yoga, we actually focus on breath work. So it's actually a yoga that does not focus on the asanas, the poses. So what we do in laughter yoga is that we laugh together in a group setting, and we combine laughter and what we call yogic breathing. And then it's typically done in a group setting, and there's ways we go about doing this type of yoga. But and we use eye contact, which is one of the ways that we do laughter yoga. And it helps us to like tap into our childlike playfulness when we come together. Because what the founder found is that as adults, we lost our laughter, our abundant laughter that we used to laugh as a child. As we went along our life journey, a lot of us hardly laugh as an adult. So the founder, which is Madan Kataria, he's actually a medical doctor. And how it even got started was he was doing research for a health magazine. and he in particular read this book, Anatomy of an Illness, with highlighting Norman Cousins. And in the book, it was showing like how the healing benefits of laughter were very healing for Norman Cousins. So laughter yoga started in a public park in India with just 5 people laughing in a public park. And it first started with jokes and people laughing because that's typically how most people laugh. And then after a while, the jokes were about people, and it was a different kind of energy. So Dr. Kataria went to his wife, and his wife, being a longtime yoga teacher, said, let's combine yogic breathing and laughter exercises, which is what developed into laughter yoga. So it's this process where we laugh together in a group. And what they also found in the process and creation of laughter yoga is that your body doesn't know the difference between whether you're laughing at a joke or laughing from what kind of stimulus, or if you're doing laughter yoga style, if you're laughing more internally or you're laughing more intrinsically, you're still going to get a lot of healing benefits from laughing, psychological, physiological benefits from laughing. But in essence, we combine laughter and yogic breathing, and we typically do that in a group setting. And there's a way I can do some with you actually here on this podcast too, because there's some really simple ways we do it. The act of laughter yoga, the essence of it is pretty simple. However, those of us who teach laughter yoga, for us, it's a lifelong journey. We just don't do it just one time. We know that we want to add laughter to our lives every single day. And sometimes as adults, we forget to laugh.
Yeah, I know that a lot of people just forget simply to find pleasure and joy, right? To have fun and to tap into that sort of inner child that we all still, right, deep down inside have, and we can't necessarily access him or her oftentimes because of the daily grind.
Exactly. And it typically doesn't go away.
Right.
We do that until we're an elder. And then the next thing you know, we reflect back on our life and we hardly laugh.
Yeah, so I know that it's hard. I'm trying to think. It seems it would be challenging. I don't know if I've experienced laughter yoga. I don't know if I've ever come to one of your classes. I know it's always been on my list of things to do because it made so much sense to me when you told me about it and how I mean, I just have no doubt it could be incredibly healing, but to think that I could laugh with, on a joke. You watch kids, like having watched my children grow up, like I can see, you can literally watch the laughter leave them.
Yeah, I totally understand what you're referring to. And it's just something as we have all these responsibilities. And I just had a big milestone birthday in June, just 1 month ago. I hit the 50, and it gets more and more, responsibilities, things to do, just all the challenges that, and mind you, it's the yin and the yang, so there's also a lot of blessings and things to be grateful for and things we can love in our daily life. But in today's world, it's not easy, and I didn't mean to interrupt you. There's not we're not in a culture to really laugh genuinely, without, especially now, there's more about laughing against a political party or laughing against different people and places and things, where laughter yoga, it's a different kind of laughter. But I can show you one simple thing that we do.
Yeah, let's do it.
So
often it's at the butt of a joke of somebody, right? And that's why people laugh.
Right.
Not because, and which is not always Well, oftentimes that can elicit hurt,
Yes.
right? You
And
just laughed at me.
actually, that's usually what's happened to people, like as a cultural and a society, that we stop laughing. Actually, it's a double-edged sword. So when you're laughed at or you're told not to laugh, like all of the things that happen, especially early on when you go to school, stop laughing. When you go to your church and spiritual setting, stop laughing. When you're supposed to study and do all your homework, be serious. You get these intrinsic messages all along. People ask me, I've been teaching laughter yoga for 16 years. Since I started in 2008, I saw it on the Oprah Winfrey Show in 2007. So people ask me all the time, are you still doing laughter yoga? And I think you did too. I'll do it for life because I'm a lifer for one, but it's like, because especially even teaching that long, there's not a moment that as an adult that you start laughing, like, oh, you start laughing, okay, when you turn 50. Oh no, it's usually the opposite. And I do different kinds of freelance work now, and one of the works that I do is working with elders. So I currently work with a 97-year-old. So, and that's a whole nother conversation in and of itself. But the, there's not a lot of opportunities to freely laugh, joyfully as we age. And in fact, many things take us away from our laughter.
Mm-hmm. So, okay,
So,
so what is one of these simple?
yeah. So what we do in laughter yoga, these simple laughter exercises. So there is some context, and we create more of the context when we're actually in the class, but I can do some with you. Like, some is really, really simple, and some of it is quite literal. So even the founder said it's not even so much about the laughter versus the giving yourself permission to play. And that'll make more sense as we do a couple of them. So, and also just a couple of little guidelines before we start is that, or at least do a couple, is that no pain, no pain. So these are all voluntary. And you can also just get value of hearing other people laugh. So that's also the beauty of laughter yoga. It's like laughter, there's an energy, there's a vibration. So you'll get benefits of even hearing people laugh without even laughing, actually. But that's another conversation as well. But so one simple laughter yoga exercise we'll do is this one. It's called zip your mouth laughter. So you literally, okay, and before we do this, one of the big ideas is just to give yourself permission to laugh. Like, you might think this is goofy and possibly a little bit like nutty, but we're just doing a sample of laughter yoga, so you never have to do it again if you don't want to. But for the sake of highlighting laughter yoga, and if you want to give it a try, give yourself permission to laugh, even doing these laughter yoga exercises. So let's just do this one called zip your mouth laughter. So I'm going to show it to you first. So you zip, and then when you unzip, you laugh. And it literally is that simple. So let's try it again. So you zip,
Mm-hmm.
and then unzip, you laugh.
And you've been practicing. It's like, and then I can feel the inhibition of, right, wanting to let go and free myself into that, and give myself the freedom to laugh. I can feel
Yeah.
it. There's like what if I laugh too loud or too silly, or what if it doesn't come? Yours sounds very natural, and we shouldn't even be judging it, probably.
Well, that's another whole conversation too,
Yeah.
because people tell me all the time, they're like, oh, your laughter yoga is not natural, or it's not real. But here's part of what I say to that is, like, I cannot force myself to laugh. More or less, I cannot force you to laugh, or anybody to laugh, or anybody who comes to my laughter yoga classes. However, more so what laughter yoga creates is is to have people allow themselves to laugh. Now, if you allow yourself to laugh, the laughter is actually right there. So whether it's like instantly, whether it's someone telling you a joke and then you laugh right away, or whether, you know,
Mhm.
and as you get more into the, you know, even the science behind laughter yoga and the process. And by the way, it's a highly effective process because we are so deprived of laughter. We have so much around us, our family stress, our bills, the news, go on and on and on, that's stressing us out. And we really want to laugh freely, unapologetically,
Mhm.
joy, like so. And what's happening a lot is we are not in those kind of spaces too. So the process of laughter yoga, I've seen it for 16 years in all kinds of settings. You get more people that like, oh my gosh, I could just laugh freely, and I don't, you know, I don't have to do it a certain way that I've learned my entire life. It's life changing for them. That's why I'm still a laughter yoga teacher. It's life changing for myself. It has been life changing for myself and continues to be. As I mentioned to you, this week in particular has been like a stressful week for a lot of different reasons. And quite frankly, I forgot to laugh, even being a yoga teacher. So part of what laughter yoga to me, it's just a life tool. It's a life tool to remember that, oh, I can laugh. Because why? Because I choose to. It's different than way I was programmed to laugh. But even when I laugh myself, I don't have some magic thing I'm doing, you know, some particular formula or code to no, I'm just allowing myself to laugh, whether it's laughter yoga or laughing at things and people that make me laugh. So in particular, like one of the things that makes me laugh in particular is I have one friend, her name is Cam. She has a really loud laugh. So when I even hear her laugh, it makes me laugh, you know?
Yeah.
So I forgot our original question. But yes. So I can show you a couple other laughter yoga exercises if you like to see a
Yeah.
couple other.
Yeah. Because that one was
Oh, okay.
challenging. I'll have to
It's just
practice that one.
simple. We can just put our hand on our hearts. And so we're just gonna do a breath work, a breathing exercise first. So we're just gonna inhale, and as we exhale, say ha.
Ah.
So oftentimes we also play with the sounds ha and he and such in laughter yoga. So let's do that one more time. Just inhale, and as you exhale, say ha.
Ah.
Very nice. And let's do a little shoulder roll, a similar idea. We hold a lot of our stress in our shoulders. So let's just do a little shoulder roll. Inhale. And as we exhale, say, ah.
Ah.
And one more time, let's just do a little shoulder roll. And as we exhale, say, ah. And this next one we're going to do, which you probably thought we're going to do a little shoulder roll. As we do the shoulder roll, we're just going to laugh. And there's no wrong or right way to do this. So you could laugh as loud or as soft as you want. You can laugh with your eyes open or closed. For this particular exercise, typically in laughter yoga, we do most of our laughter yoga exercises eye contact, looking person to person. But for this exercise, if you're not driving and you're safely able to, just roll your shoulders as we roll our shoulders. We're just gonna laugh out loud. Let's try that one more time. So roll our
You.
roll our shoulders and just laugh.
Ah.
And let's just do one more. Let's just do one more. Let's just hug ourselves. So just inhale And then release and just say, ha. And one more time, let's just hug ourselves. Give yourself a nice hug and just release and say, ha. And we're going to do one more laughter yoga exercise in this little series. So let's just hug ourselves. As we hug ourselves, we're just going to laugh. Just allow yourself to laugh. And relax. And just as we just did those three, a couple of things which I didn't say before. The basics of laughter yoga are pretty simple. We either do breathing exercises, which some are really simple, just like doing our shoulder roll and saying ha. And then we also do our laughter exercises. And there's all kinds of laughter exercises, including the zip your mouth laughter exercise. There's another one. This is a simple one to do. This is mental floss laughter. So you're just going to floss out anything in your mind, including like, this is really silly. Mm-hmm. Floss out anything in your mind and laugh while you're doing it.
Sometimes you want to floss it all out. You're like,
yeah.
Sometimes I'm like taking the stuff out, but flossing and laughing, right? Sounds like it would be a little bit almost more effective.
So doing our laughter exercise is one of the ideas. We also do some exercises that are one of the components we also do is clap. Yay! The basics of laughter yoga are really simple. We breathe, we clap, we laugh, and we do laughter exercises that are combining the laughter and the breathing.
And I would imagine it also gets easier, right? The more practice.
Yes.
The more you are able to give yourself permission to laugh, the easier it becomes.
Well, laughter yoga is life-changing for a lot of people. However, I'll add the however. I'll say and for many people, it's not. So, but it really depends how open you are to your own evolution of your laughter. For example, we're used to laughing oftentimes a certain way our entire life, you know. We may just even like giggle a little bit, and that's all we know ourselves to be, and even how we laugh, you know. And however, what laughter yoga in part does, it gives you tools to like know your own joy, know your own laughter experience, the ability to laugh with other people, the ability to laugh at yourself more, because that's also a big thing too. Typically why we don't laugh, as we talked about briefly already, is because we were laughed at. Maybe it's just the childhood kid, then but a part of us stopped laughing. And you were saying, does it get easier over time? It does, and it's also a muscle. It's kind of like similar to like you go to the gym. Like, why do people go to the gym for years and years and years? Or why do people meditate for years and years and years? It's a practice. So even somebody like myself, who's been a laughter yoga leader and teacher for 16 years, it's still a practice for me every single day, including today and including this week. Before being on this podcast, you know, I'm stressed out. I haven't been on a podcast before. What to wear, you know, all the things, which is partly why I was slightly running late, because I'm dealing with my own humanity, you know.
Right.
So
yeah.
And usually when we're dealing with things, even being a laughter yoga teacher, like laughter is not the first on our mind. But I want to make this one little note about laughter yoga, in part why it's life-changing. Typically in laughter, when you think about somebody laughing, you typically don't think about laughing in certain scenarios. You think about laughing in some scenarios, but not other scenarios. So, but what I'm referencing in this case is that laughter yoga, in part why it's life-changing, people around the world do what we call these laughter yoga clubs. And you can go to the main website and find laughter yoga clubs all over the world and laughter yoga teachers. And part of these laughter yoga clubs are people doing in settings where laughter and doing laughter yoga changed their life. For example, there's a lot of these laughter yoga clubs in cancer centers all around the world. In fact, I have several friends who were cancer survivors who started laughter yoga. Well, obviously, if you have cancer, it's not funny. And in a lot of cases, it's not something to laugh about. However, when you do this practice of laughing, it makes you feel better. And when you feel better, it helps you to heal. Also, it helps you to reduce your stress. So there's all these added benefits of laughing. So it's one of the things I'll also note with laughter yoga. We add laughter to all of life, or the idea anyway, or the intention, versus waiting for an opportunity to laugh. So it's more of going within, and depending on whatever you're dealing with in life. And unfortunately, many people have had and have cancer. That's part of people's life journeys. And they don't want to stop laughing. They already have to deal with so many other things. So that's one avenue, though. But a lot of other areas of life that people are bringing this tool of laughter yoga that's life changing to them. So
yeah, I can see that. And, obviously, as you said, if you can bring this element to your healing, I mean, if I were just to guess, if the vibrational frequency of joy and laughter is high, right, then it's going to help maybe boost the immune system so that healing,
absolutely
can take place.
Yes, definitely that, for sure. For sure. But what came to mind when you just said that, like, I read something that somebody wrote online, and it's actually someone local who had wrote about it. And they were talking about, like, even if we have lower vibrations, lower vibes, is that not part of our spiritual practice? Part of this is what the question was asking, like, and they were implying that it is. So it's not so much like, oh, someone else, someone has higher vibes, and whether you get there via laughter or whatever else. And if someone has different vibes, they're struggling, are they not like equally important? And part of what they were referencing is that they are. And I partly bring that up because we talked a little bit about this when this podcast started, is like, part of my whole journey of getting into laughter yoga is that I didn't laugh much as a child, and maybe this is the time to bring this up too. And part of that reason is that my biological mother took her life when I was 8 years old as a child. So obviously, in that situation, you don't laugh. And my mother suffered from mental illness since before I was conceived. So part of my point of saying that however, in experiencing that with my own mom, it was one of the inspirations of why I got into teaching laughter yoga, for a couple of reasons. One reason is that oftentimes we forget that we haven't laughed in years and even in days, so like, we forget to laugh. Like, life sucks all of these things out of us, including my own mother. She did not laugh a lot. Now, with me bringing that up, I don't think, in knowing more about laughter yoga, my mom may or may not have resonated with the ideas of laughter yoga. Like, and I have to be a little mindful of being a 16-year laughter yoga teacher. I kind of go through life. I can go through life and be like, you need to laugh more. You need to laugh more. I'm more aware of, especially experiencing this with my mom. I'm very aware of where people lost their laughter a long time ago. So, my point is that, and however, being a laughter yoga teacher, and being someone who practices, being more compassionate and also loving in my daily life towards myself and towards others, but that's also a practice. Loving and being compassionate is a practice like laughing is. But it's a continuum. At different times we laugh more. At different times we are open more to laughing, and part of this journey has given me more understanding of other people's journey. So it's not so much of me pushing laughter on people, versus more of a being, like me practicing being more of a joyful spirit myself, and then allowing people their time and space to be able and to want to laugh more on their end. Because I don't know, maybe my mother would have really, maybe it would have saved her life, teaching laughter yoga. It's unknown, and it's something that I'll won't be able to experience with her, obviously, but it's also something I'm aware of, that because we all are on this different continuum on our life journey, and so there's different reasons why we laugh more than others. And with that being said, though, laughter yoga has been life-changing for me personally, and it's also been life-changing for different settings I've been able to bring laughter yoga to. And like with that, in relation to what I just shared with your mom, I'm sorry, what I shared about my mom is that one of the opportunities I've been able to bring laughter yoga, in the last several years, somebody learned about laughter yoga at a national conference, and they saw that I was a local laughter yoga teacher, and they had me come to the psychiatric hospital and train somebody at the hospital how to do laughter yoga. So I did a one-on-one training with this person, and they brought laughter yoga to the psychiatric hospital. There's new developing models of how to in some places of the things that they offer in psychiatric hospitals, and at the time they decided to implement laughter yoga as one of their offerings. So in me having that experience, it opened that door for me to be, yes. And once again, I'm not sure to what degree it helps people, but it's definitely a tool for sure, to allow people this ability to laugh more with these exercises.
Now, would you consider this a part of your spiritual practice?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Probably one of my number one things along my spiritual practice. But I got out of the habit of, like, the ideal thing would be to do my laughter yoga exercises daily, and not only daily, throughout the day, because as a laughter yoga teacher anyway, for myself, and now that I'm even making note of that, I aim to do that again. Yeah, so meaning like hours can go by. So say we have 24 hours in a day and we're sleeping for recommended 8 hours. So there's still 16 hours in our day. So if I just did a few laughter yoga exercises, which typically take a very short time, like a couple minutes, if that. So for me personally, part of my practice, my ideal practice, which I haven't been doing as much lately, and I can see it as a direct reflection in my life, but is to do a few sprinkle laughter yoga exercises throughout my day for sure.
Mhm.
So um, to remind me to laugh, to remind me to smile, to remind me to connect to my inner joy, all of that. So yes, it's definitely a key thing to my spiritual journey for sure. Especially someone like for myself, um, I do not laugh. In fact, I hardly laugh besides doing our exercises since we've had this podcast. I'm not the one who laughs naturally and robustly, and in part because I think a lot, I think a lot, and actually, as adults, a lot of us think a lot, which is a large part of why we don't laugh, because we think more than laughing. But it takes a practice for me to laugh.
Mhm.
So that's why I love laughter yoga. That's why it changed my life. And I even doing it for so long, I still forget. So that's why it's important to pencil it in my calendar to like laugh
Well,
or join a laughter yoga call that's online. There's several laughter yoga actually Zooms, and there's several call options, as well as in-person options. Not so many in-person options locally, but there's a lot of online options.
I could see because I've kind of added just adding little reminders throughout the day, like to do certain things. That way I don't forget, especially when I know that maybe it's not something I think of right away, but I do know what I think, uh, like little habits that I do genuinely believe would, benefit my life, right? But sometimes we forget to do those. We can remember to do all the other ones.
Right, and once you learn some other basics of laughter yoga, which let's do this little one. This is one of them that's very common too. It's milkshake laughter. So you like you as if you're making a milkshake. So it's like uh you shake your milkshake and then you drink it. So it's milkshake laughter.
Yeah,
So it's even less calories than an actual milkshake too.
right.
And you can make it lactose intolerant and everything. So
Oh,
it's
you want chocolate?
uh
Huh? Yeah.
your milkshake and then laugh.
And laughter is definitely contagious. So I can imagine being in a group setting, hearing other people laugh definitely is advantageous to one's overall health as well. I mean, I know like I might cry if I see somebody cry,
Definitely.
you
It's
know?
definitely that's how laughter yoga like spread as much as it did, because one of the principles primarily, there's a lot of stuff online also with laughter yoga, but the primarily the basic of laughter yoga is in group settings. So I said it started in India, so I don't know if I mentioned the date. So it started in India in 1995, in
Mhm.
March of 95, with just 5 people laughing in a public park. So, and they still do that in India. There's laughter yoga all over the public parks in India. But then, but that the thing when you see other people laughing, and as a matter of fact, it just so happened today that I uploaded my cover photo of, I was able to go to India
Mm.
um, in 2009 and 2011. It was kind of a blessing since I just got into laughter yoga in 2008. Well, part of also what happened in 2008 I got into laughter yoga at the beginning of 2008, and it just so happened that my biological father passed away at the end of 2008. So at that time, I was like partly soul searching, and then the opportunity came my way to go to India in January of 2009, 1 year after I had got trained in laughter yoga. So, and I got to experience the laughter yoga clubs of India, and it's and to piggyback on your original question, yes, doing it in a group setting, using eye contact, laughing with one another, definitely is one of the keys to laughter yoga. So when you can laugh with people, and so we do eye contact with one another when we're laughing. We also say like try not to talk so much, because our talking when we're doing the laughter yoga exercises, because usually our left side of the brain is more analytical thinking, but our right side of the brain is more creative and fun and playful. Our creative side. So laughter yoga exercises are more of our right brain kind of exercises. Yes.
And so, yeah, so to eliminate some of the discussion, to keep us out of the left hemisphere.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, okay, right now, are you holding classes anywhere?
So what I do pop-up style. So
Mhm.
I do I have different options. I can do one-on-one, so either via Zoom or like video, Facebook video, or I can or one-on-one in person. So I do group setting laughter yoga. So for example, I'm teaching laughter yoga tomorrow evening. I'll plug in for that at it's actually uh, Louisville downtown waterfront downtown yoga. I forgot the exact wording, but
Okay.
there's regular yoga class there, and I'm a guest speaker tomorrow night. So
Okay. Outside?
Yeah, it is outside actually.
Nice.
Yep.
So it's down at the waterfront. What time is that?
6:30.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, for those who are in Louisville,
But
like,
this will be after that class is over.
okay.
So, but I do pop up classes, and that's like an example of one of the classes that I do. And I
Okay.
have another class this month also. The other one is specifically for women. But what was your question going to be?
Well, like when you're down there, is that closer to the Big Four bridge, or is it closer to I don't really know the different sections of the park. I know the Big Four bridge for sure. Or is it where the chickens are, like down off Witherspoon, where those metal chickens are? Is it closer to that area?
This is at the Brown Foreman Auditorium.
Oh, okay.
Yes, which is like it's um it's near this barbecue restaurant.
Oh, the
So
Pig Beach?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. I know where that is.
Regular teacher there. Tomorrow's my it's a pop-up. So
Okay.
I'm just a teacher for tomorrow.
Oh,
But
that's fun.
however, Doreen, who is the creator of that yoga program, she does classes regularly there.
Oh, nice. At
Yeah.
6:30?
At 6:30 to 7:30. I believe her classes are Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Okay.
Typically $10 per class.
Mhm.
So reasonable. And part of the reason I'm going tomorrow is that she's bringing in guest teachers. So you
Oh,
might even be a guest teacher for her.
that's fun. Very fun.
But different pop-up offerings. And I'm still doing that. I don't have an actual studio.
Mhm.
I am doing pop-up classes
So
and one-on-one group classes.
okay, did you say there's another pop-up this month that you know of already?
There is, it's on July 27th, but
Okay.
that particular one is it's a woman only event. It's called the Happiest Hour.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, that was created. That's in collaboration with the WOA Network, which is a local group for women that was created by Holly and Izzy. So it's a women networking community.
Okay.
I'm doing you have to be a woman to come to that class, but I'm doing a laughter yoga. It's going to be a laughter yoga and networking class, and I'm co-teaching that class with another laughter yoga teacher named Michelle. So we are going to both be teaching that class, laughter yoga networking. That one is on Saturday, July 27th. That one is at 10 a.m. and it is at Sacred Rose Medicinal. That one is in New Albany.
Oh, okay, nice. Nice.
Mhm.
Now, is it open to the public, women who are in the public, or do they have to be a part of the networking group?
It's you have to register for the class, which you register through the group, but the group is free.
Okay.
So towards women leaders. However, like even if you have your own side business, you would be considered a leader too. So because you're growing your leadership skills if you're not already a leader. So
Yeah.
there's a continuum of that. So they have a lot of leeway of who can join, but it's particularly for women leaders.
Yeah. So I know you dabble in some other very interesting things. Uh, I mean, your life seems just very adventurous, and you have integrated some unique ways to experience life. And I know one of those is the couch surfing. So, we've been talking for a little while. I would love to know, because I have looked into it based on your recommendation, and I've never stayed with anybody or had anybody stay. I think I have an account, and it just never, some people in my life might think that's weird. I mean, I did Airbnb. They thought that was weird enough, you know, but what a great way to see the world and meet new people.
Yeah, so yes, I love couch surfing. The community. So just to give listeners a background, like what is couch surfing? So it's actually spelled the way that it sounds, like couch as in like a couch you sit in, Couch, and then surfing, like kind of like you're surfing waves, the Surfing. Sometimes I like to spell things so people know. So it's actually an app, couch surfing. So it's comparable to Airbnb, though very different. So, however, why it's comparable to Airbnb is that it is a travel hospitality network. So you can go and travel, and it's also global. So you can go to the app, find a city that you want to stay on a couch. And just to give you context, since I had referenced, I went to India. I've used the app all in the US, except the only country that I've used it outside of the US is actually India. So you can go and type in Mumbai, India, and you can see all the couches that are available. Now, if you don't want to go to India, you can also put Seattle, Washington, or you can put Naples, Florida, which actually happen to be two cities that I've also used Couchsurfing network. So you type in the city that you want to go to, and then it brings up profiles, which is similar to the Airbnb as well. Now, but there's vast differences between the communities. So one of the things is that it is actually a free community. Well, or I'll say primarily free. Before the pandemic, before 2020, it was like 99% free. But since the pandemic, there are some minimal fees. To give you an example, for myself, I pay $14.99 a year via my phone to have the app on my phone. So minimal fee being $15, one more or less $15 for a yearly fee. So, and then once you have that, and then there's another fee also, which is to get verified, but that's to add, it's like more of a added security to verify people are who they say they are, and things like that. So you can also get verified. Now, but the one big difference of Couchsurfing though is that it's designed to get to know people. So for example, somebody's coming to town and then you either host them, but another element with Couchsurfing is you could actually meet people that you're not even hosting. But maybe in that case, it would be to show them around town.
Mhm.
And then, but one of the big differences of Couchsurfing is there's this degree of getting to know your host. So, but why is that the case? In part, it's like, so say if I show you a little bit of town where I live, then if I'm traveling in your city, such as, you know, the ones I just mentioned, Seattle or in Naples, Florida, or in Mumbai, India, you would do the same when I'm traveling there. So you would maybe give me recommendations on the best restaurants to see, or maybe the best murals to go look at, or maybe, you know, the best museum to see. Because typically when you're traveling, you don't have a lot of time. So that's like one of the great things about Couchsurfing. It's a travel resource. So, and not only that, though, a lot of people, you don't have the opportunity to travel as much as you want to. So one of the great things about Couchsurfing is you learn about so much of the world and also about the US from people traveling that you may not have a chance to see, maybe never, or not for a while. So you're learning from them. Like, why are they coming into town? I've met so many people coming into town for so many different reasons. So it's a community I became a part of in 2009 because you create a profile. I actually created a profile in 2009, right about the same time I had got into laughter yoga, but I didn't do nothing with it in 2009. I probably stumbled upon it in 2011 though, you know, and sometimes it takes a little while before we realize what's what. But since 2011 until now, I've been a very active participant of the community. So I met so many people who not only come into town in Louisville, but I've also used the network pretty extensively when I've traveled, whether it's short-term travel or longer-term travel, such as India.
Mhm.
I personally love it. But then again, I've been in it for a long time, so I know more of the best practices and, you know, things to recommend and best practices, yes. So, but I'd be welcome to help anybody who's wanting to know more or curious to know more. There's a lot of I could say about it. So, but
Oh.
just let me give you like a real world example. So a real world example is a couple of years ago, a person came into town, and now I just drew a blank of the person I was gonna give example. Oh, Bruno. His name is Bruno. So Bruno came in town from actually he is originally from Brazil. So he was coming traveling through Louisville because he was going to apply to go into opera school. He's a professional musician. So he was applying to Bloomington, Indiana, the Jacob School of Music. I had no idea prior to meeting him that they were so well known for the music school. Long story short, he applied, he got into the program. So he's since worked his way up and has become an advanced degree opera singer. So, and then it just so happened that I've actually stayed friends with Bruno probably 10 years later. And then now he's like a friend in my circle, but it's somebody that I had met through the Couchsurfing community. And I did happen to host him way back when he was like, and it's an example of someone who I've stayed friends with. So
Right.
in his case, he happened to fast forward, he got married, he has had a child. He happened to circle back through Louisville a couple years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, and then I was able to meet him and his wife and his baby. So it's a hospitality friendship network. Now, not all of those examples you stay in touch with, but it's kind of like even in regular life, some people you stay more connected to than other people. But he's like one example of someone I met through Couchsurfing. And actually, I can tell you a whole bunch of examples because just as much as I am passionate about laughter yoga, I'm equally passionate about couch surfing. So,
What makes you equally as passionate? Is it the fact that you get to sort of live life through the eyes of others? You get to meet people, the community, the connection building?
good question. But and also one kind of like technical thing I see since we are recording this on my cell phone that it's saying 20% charge. So I don't know how time
Well,
wise.
no, we'll go for just a few more minutes, but definitely, yeah, I definitely,
I don't want to lose everything. So
yeah, well, yeah.
but I do have an answer for you. And we probably have a few minutes left of my charge, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't bring the charge upstairs.
No, that's good. Yeah, we don't want to, yeah, we don't, yeah, for sure.
So, so well, a couple of things like why I became so passionate about it. Um, I shared a little bit about like my story about how my biological mom passed away when I was a child. Well, why I'm going back there related to couch surfing is that I ended up going into the foster system. So
Mm,
I went there early on. So like I went to multiple foster homes.
mm,
Um, I later eventually went to the Rudolphs, where I was adopted. Well, actually, Rudolph is my last name. So, but I struggled with finding my place.
mm,
Um, where do I belong? So I was adopted into a family. There was 9 of us children. The irony of it is I grew up with a lot of children in my upbringing. There was 5 biological children and 4 of us adopted. But out of the 4 of us adopted, I was like the only child from my biological parents. So fast forward all of these years, I found couch surfing. Um, it became like a family that I never had. So
mm.
meaning I meet all these people from all over the world. Some of them I kind of like am their safe space for them when they're traveling to get to know them. And another thing is I've never had any children of my own. So I joke with people that though I don't have my own children, elders are kind of like my children because I work with the elderly and I love them dearly. And also couch surfers, these travelers have kind of became like my children.
Mm.
Kind of example, Bruno is one example, and he's one of many people. Like when I met him, he was trying to advance his education, and then he crossed my path. So it's just like I was a presence for him to be like, oh yes, how exciting, you know. So I was able to be that as like a friend, somebody in the community, but also just a friend to humanity. So it's like being excited, and then doing that time and time again, it really opened my life and my heart exponentially. Like a little bit how I am now in my life, but it all has been kind of evolution over time, whether it was laughter yoga or whether it's working with the elderly or whether it's being connected to the couch surfing. Each of those and a few other communities also, they like really changed my life. So
Mhm.
couch and it's 2 factors. One, it's like allowed me to be a space for travelers like a safe space. But secondly, it has allowed me to learn more about the world. And unfortunately, I won't even be able to go to even a percentage of the places of the people that came here. But you learn so much from the people just for, the two standard ones, which is time and money. But, but it's much easier to show people your city and they're coming to you versus, get your visas, get your passports, take time off work and all the other things
Yeah.
that we have to get somewhere,
Yeah.
so, but it's a great community. There's, things to learn about it, but, and it also, there's lots of different ages. So it's not just for younger people. There's all different kinds of ages on there. And in fact, many people who are older are on Couchsurfing and are very frequent in it, similar to what I'm saying to you. They're not able to travel as much. Maybe they don't have as much energy. Maybe their health doesn't even allow them. However, it's really hard. They have a beautiful home. And one thing I'll make note of, the couches, less than 50% of people have couches, similar to Airbnb. Over 50% of people have private rooms. You have a private room. So the profile of the people who create the profile will show like, yes, we have a private room. Yes, we can take 2 guests. We can host you on the weekends, or they give you the specifics of what's available.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, I definitely recall looking, at it a little bit, but as you said, it took you a few minutes, right? A few years before you actually found the gem that it was, found it to be the gem that it was or is.
I'll just note as we're even wrapping up, like part of my probably dream thing would be to combine the two, as a traveling laughter yoga teacher and also to stay with people in their homes through couch surfing. At one time, I created a kind of like a brand for myself, which was couch surfing laughter yogini. So yogini is word for someone who practices yoga.
Yeah.
So I aimed, and I've done a little bit of it, but I think that's another reason I got into it. So it's like, oh, how wonderful if I could travel and, teach laughter yoga and also travel and also be connected to people, and as well as help with the cost factor of traveling. I'm not saying that that's not a factor of couch surfing. Yes, many people use it because they get free travel. But however, many people won't host you if you just want a free couch. They write on their profile.
Right.
It's the element of getting to know people because people are limited in their time, nor do they just always want to just host you. They don't have, however, if you get to know them and by the way, it's not a dating site, but anyway,
that's good to clarify.
Because if you use it that way, you are usually the one to get the bad references and are usually ousted from it. It's more of a travel hospitality network. So to give you a tool and a resource while you're traveling.
That's a great way. It sounds like a great way to travel and meet people and connect. I know that's one of the reasons that I love the Lyft and Uber platform. It's not just to drive people and get them where they need to go, although that's part of it. It also allows me to meet people, well, really from the community, but the world. I mean, people come here, for the distilleries, the horse racing, the music festivals, and you get to meet a little bit of everybody, and and then it's fun. So we all have something different to share, even about our community here, right? When people that haven't been here, we're all going to have a little bit different favorite spot, park,
Right.
restaurant, activity. And it's nice to get, insight from someone who, knows and loves a space and an area. Then going by a Yelp or a TripAdvisor review, because sometimes I've done that and they've not been the best choices. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So I know that, now can people find you? I know, your Instagram handle's changed a few times. Can they find you at, what is it, Exploring with Melanie on Instagram?
Probably the best ways to find me are via my Instagram, which is like Instagram.com. I don't know if they've kept the .com, but it's at Exploring with Melanie, which is like all
Oh, yeah.
lowercase, and also it's the exploring is, as you know, the EXPLORING, and the with is spelled out as well, WITH, and then Melanie is spelled out as well, which is MELANIE. So it's my Instagram handle is at Exploring with Melanie. That's one way to find me. You could message me on there. I also am very active on Facebook. So my Facebook, though I don't have a current like business Facebook, but I have my personal page is facebook.com, and it's Laughter Yoga Melanie. It is actually I guess it's like, I don't know if that's how Facebook works, but my the domain name is Laughter Yoga Melanie. But it's not like typed in as a business name, but it's like that facebook.com/Laughter Yoga Melanie, I think. Those are kind of or just connect with Elizabeth and she'll connect you to me.
I will do that. And then all the information will be in the show notes too.
So yes, I'm working on it. Like, a place to really highlight the different areas that I'm focusing on. But my Instagram and my personal Facebook are probably the two best ones until I even make my streamline better.
Well, awesome.
Next.
Make sure you all look up Melanie. She's a wealth of insight and I love her energy.
I've also appreciated you, Elizabeth, knowing you over the years and all the different varied things that you are and have been a part of.
Yeah,
everything.
It's
your popcorn, your yoga.
Yeah, it's a lot of different things. I know, and sometimes it feels like that way with you too. Little this, little that, and it's fun. It definitely makes for an interesting life. Nothing changes. Everything is always changing a little bit.
I know. Also talked about, which is a whole nother conversation for another day, but working on paying off debt.
Oh yeah, we need to do that. We should have that. We need to talk about that on a different episode. That would be a good one because that's definitely something. That's I think one of the things I found you more recently. I don't remember when that was the right debt free Melanie page. I mean, it's and a lot of people right now. I think one of my yoga clients, students, he's in finance. He said 70% of people right now are living paycheck to paycheck. And that's a lot of people in the United States that are living paycheck to paycheck right now. And he didn't have any figures on debt, but I know that there are people with a lot of debt and it can feel daunting and it can feel like a really deep hole that one has to dig themselves out of. And I know what?
Just was giving context to it, like paying off financial debts, because I said I had that degree in wellness from a long time ago. I'm still paying off that debt. So student loan debt. So
yeah.
So that's another area I've been focused on. There's like a hashtag debt-free community. So people are working towards paying off their debt. Some of them are already out of debt and some of them are not. So that's another interest of mine, obviously, to pay off my debts. And also that applies to other areas of life too. Not hard, just but all the other emotional, spiritual things we indebted ourselves to too.
That's right. Absolutely.
Integrity with our word.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me. What?
Travel. Go ahead.
No, what were you gonna say?
I just tied in like, well, sharing our laughter, tying in our travel adventures, which is usually a lot of things of what a lot of people want to do, laugh more and travel more.
It's true. Yeah.
Mm.
And I don't know about, I mean, even, you might think being, living a life that is debt free also, right, could inspire more laughter possibly, right? Because you're less stressed.
Absolutely. That's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, I mean, it's just all of these things are woven together.
Our laughter away. And it doesn't matter how much money you have, because oftentimes people with a lot more money spend a lot more money. So a lot of them are in a lot more debt. So I've seen that from working on that area of my life. So someone though did tell me recently, because I went to a swimming pool this summer, being the summer season, and they're like, you live a rich, or do you have rich friends? And how I took it is like, I do live a rich life, but um it's from the blessings and the richness I learned along the way in
Yeah.
all these. And rich is kind of, that's a whole nother conversation, because you can have a rich life and be enriched by people and be enriched by communities. And however, your money could vary on every level, but you could have a lot of money and you could have very little money, but you could still have a rich life.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Have you more recently I found Ken Honda's work.
I didn't
he,
name.
he wrote the book Happy Money, and he talks a lot about that, like what is wealth. And I think statistically speaking, people are not any happier with once they hit $75,000. Now, this was written whenever that was, right? We're living in a time when things cost a lot of money and inflation is hit. But whatever that marker was, $75,000, nobody's happier or less happy, with more than that. 75 was the mark that he found. And he's a psychologist, actually. So he's coming at this from through a different lens, and like what lends to certain types of, he calls spending personalities. So he was really interesting, but he does talk a lot about how rich is just such an interesting word, because you can have a very rich and full life, but you don't have to have the dollars for that, right? And feel more fulfilled than someone with all the dollars in the world.
Right. There's a lot of things to talk about as it
Yeah.
relates to wealth and debt and abundance. I just am in the middle. I'm almost finished listening to a book called Die with Zero.
Mm.
It's a finance book, but it's an interesting listen. But partly, and I forgot the author's name offhand, but he talks about, this concept called life energy. We spend so much of our life energy for years of our life to, in part, try to extend our life at the end of our life. But there's a lot of conversation. It's like, how long are we going to live? Like how much using all of your life energy now is going to really make a difference at the end of your life, because say you need to be, so it's a whole conversation with a lot of different discussion points for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm working on that. That's another area. I am not debt free, but I hopefully when I do another podcast with you in the future, my debt free scream, which is usually connected to Dave Ramsey, and like people screaming, "I'm debt free." So I'm envisioning that at some time, hopefully sooner than later.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, thanks so much for joining me today. It was a pleasure. It was great to see your face.
Yeah, great. And thank you so much for the invite.
No, you're so welcome. It was such a pleasure.
Yay, until next time then.
Yeah, absolutely. Until next time.